On a hot summer afternoon, July 23rd, I decided to take a relaxing walk through downtown Toronto. My journey began on Richmond Street West near Yonge Street, and I slowly made my way east toward Yonge Street. The bright sunshine reflected from the glass office towers, making the sidewalks feel even warmer. Even though the weather was hot, many people were still outside enjoying the city. Office workers walked quickly during their lunch breaks. Tourists stopped to admire the buildings. Cyclists carefully shared the road, and delivery vehicles moved from one destination to another. Richmond Street is always full of movement, especially on a weekday afternoon. Standing quietly at one of the intersections, I watched the steady flow of traffic and listened to the sounds of engines, traffic signals, footsteps, and distant conversations. Every city has its own rhythm, and Toronto's downtown certainly has one of constant motion. As I continued walking, I realized that observing traffic can teach us much more than simply how vehicles move from one place to another. Sometimes ordinary scenes become unexpected teachers. A simple walk can become a quiet lesson in patience, awareness, kindness, and self-control if we are willing to observe with an open heart. Watching the busy streets naturally led me to think about driving. Many people depend on their cars every day, while others choose public transit, cycling, or walking. Each option has advantages and disadvantages, but regardless of how we travel, safety should always come first. A good driver is not simply someone with excellent technical skills. A truly good driver is someone who respects others, remains calm under pressure, and understands that every person sharing the road is someone's family member, friend, or loved one. In Zen philosophy, there's often a reminder that our actions reveal the condition of our minds. Driving is no exception. When our minds are peaceful, our driving becomes smoother, more patient, and more considerate. When our minds are filled with anger, impatience, or distraction, even a short journey can become stressful. Every green light, every red light, and every unexpected delay becomes an opportunity to observe ourselves. Instead of asking why traffic is slowing us down, perhaps we can quietly ask whether we are allowing impatience to control our hearts. That small change in perspective can completely transform the driving experience. Downtown Toronto presents unique challenges for every driver. The streets are often crowded with pedestrians crossing intersections, cyclists riding beside traffic, streetcars sharing the road, buses making frequent stops, delivery trucks unloading goods, and visitors unfamiliar with the city's layout. Construction projects frequently change traffic patterns, and one wrong turn can lead to unexpected delays. Because of these conditions, driving downtown requires much more than confidence. It requires continuous attention and humility. A wise driver understands that there is no need to rush. Arriving safely a few minutes later is always better than risking an accident by trying to save only a short amount of time. Sometimes the greatest driving skill is simply knowing when to slow down. We cannot control the behavior of everyone around us, but we can always choose how we respond. This reminds me of a simple Zen lesson. Although we cannot stop the wind from blowing, we can adjust our sails. Likewise, we cannot eliminate traffic, but we can guide our own minds through it with calm awareness and steady judgment. One of the greatest challenges many drivers face is emotional control. Traffic congestion can easily test our patience. A driver suddenly changes lanes without signaling. Someone stops unexpectedly. Another vehicle blocks an intersection after the light changes. Situations like these happen almost every day in a large city. It is easy to become frustrated, and sometimes people react with loud horns, angry words, or aggressive driving. Yet, anger rarely solves the problem. Instead, it often creates new dangers for everyone nearby. Zen wisdom teaches that emotions are like passing clouds. They appear, they change, and eventually they disappear if we do not cling to them. When we notice irritation beginning to arise, perhaps we can simply acknowledge it without allowing it to take control. Taking one slow breath while waiting a red light may seem insignificant, but that single mindful moment can prevent an impulsive decision. A peaceful driver contributes to a safer road for everyone, even if no one else notices the effort. Road rage has become a topic discussed in many cities around the world. Although every situation is different, most incidents begin with something surprisingly small, a misunderstanding, an impatient reaction, or a moment when emotions become stronger than wisdom. During my walk along Richmond Street, I wondered how many difficult situations could be avoided if people simply gave each other a little more understanding. Perhaps the driver who hesitated at the green light was unfamiliar with the area. Perhaps someone driving slowly was searching for an address. Perhaps another person had experienced a difficult day before getting behind the wheel. We rarely know the full story of another person's life. Zen encourages us to replace judgment with compassion whenever possible. This does not mean ignoring unsafe behavior, but it does mean remembering that everyone carries invisible burdens. A small act of patience may never receive recognition, yet it quietly makes the world a little gentler. Sometimes wisdom is not found in moving ahead first, but in allowing someone else to go before us with a peaceful heart. As I continued my walk along Richmond Street toward Yonge Street, another thought quietly entered my mind. Is driving really the best choice for traveling through downtown Toronto? There is no single answer because every person's situation is different. Some people need their cars for work. Others have young children, carry equipment, or travel between several locations in one day. For them, driving may be the most practical solution. At the same time, many people choose public transit because it removes the burden of navigating busy streets, searching for parking, and dealing with heavy traffic. The Toronto subway, streetcars, buses, and regional trains connect much of the city and allow passengers to relax during the journey. In Zen practice, there is a gentle reminder that the wisest choice is often the one that creates the least unnecessary struggle. Instead of asking which method is superior, perhaps we can simply ask which one brings greater balance to today's circumstances. Wisdom is rarely found in insisting that one answer fits everyone. It is found in understanding the present moment and choosing with awareness rather than habit. Sometimes the peaceful path begins before we even leave home, simply by selecting the most suitable way to travel. Walking through the downtown streets also reminded me that every journey has its own rhythm. Drivers move from intersection to intersection, carefully watching traffic signals and surrounding vehicles. Cyclists maintain their balance while remaining alert to changing road conditions. Pedestrians patiently wait for the crossing signal before continuing on their way. Although everyone appears to be moving differently, each person is ultimately sharing the same city. Zen teaches that life is deeply connected, even when our individual paths seem separate. A driver who patiently allows a pedestrian to cross safely performs an act of kindness. A cyclist who follows traffic rules shows respect for everyone nearby. A pedestrian who crosses only when it is safe contributes to the harmony of the entire street. These simple actions may appear ordinary, yet they quietly build trust among strangers. We often search for opportunities to make the world a better place, but perhaps those opportunities are already waiting at every intersection. A gentle smile, a wave of thanks, or a few extra seconds of patience may seem small, but together they create an atmosphere where everyone feels a little safer and a little more respectful. One lesson that becomes increasingly valuable with age is learning that speed is not always progress. Modern life encourages us to hurry. We rush to meetings, appointments, shopping centers, and social events, often believing that arriving sooner will somehow make life better. Yet while watching the steady traffic along Richmond Street, I noticed that many vehicles accelerated quickly only to stop again at the next red light. The pattern repeated itself over and over. This simple observation reminded me of many moments in life. We sometimes exhaust ourselves trying to move faster, only to discover that patience would have brought us to the same destination with far less stress. Zen wisdom often points toward simplicity rather than urgency. The river reaches the ocean not by rushing, but by flowing steadily. Likewise, Our lives become calmer when we stop measuring success only by speed. There's quiet dignity in moving carefully, thinking clearly, and allowing each moment to unfold naturally. Sometimes slowing down is not losing time at all. Instead, it is gaining peace that cannot be measured by any clock. As the afternoon sun reflected from the tall buildings, I noticed something interesting. Even in the busiest parts of downtown, moments of stillness quietly existed. A bird rested on a traffic light. Gentle leaves moved with the warm summer breeze. A child laughed while holding a parent's hand. A street musician played a peaceful melody that softened the surrounding noise. These small moments could easily be overlooked if we focused only on reaching a destination. Zen reminds us that life is not happening only in the great events. Life is unfolding in every ordinary moment. The busy streets of Toronto are not separate from peace. They simply require us to look more carefully. Inner calm does not always require a quiet mountain temple or a silent lakeside retreat. Sometimes it can be discovered while standing patiently at a crowded intersection, listening without judgment and breathing without hurry. The world around us may remain busy, but the heart can still become quiet. This quietness does not remove traffic. Instead, it changes the way we experience it, allowing us to remain steady while everything around us continues to move. Before finishing my walk, I reflected on one final thought. Every person traveling through the city is carrying a story that we cannot see. Someone may be driving home after a long day at work. Another person may be visiting a loved one in hospital. A student may be hurrying to an important examination. A tourist may be experiencing Toronto for the very first time with excitement and curiosity. Because we rarely know what others are experiencing, kindness becomes one of the greatest forms of wisdom. When we leave a little extra space between vehicles, wait patiently instead of using the horn, or allow another driver to merge safely into traffic, we are offering something far more valuable than a few seconds of convenience. We are offering understanding. Zen teaches that compassion begins with seeing others as fellow travelers rather than obstacles. Every journey eventually comes to an end, but the kindness we show along the way continues long after the destination is reached. Perhaps becoming a good driver is not only about mastering the vehicle. Perhaps it is also about quietly cultivating a peaceful heart that travels with us wherever the road may lead. As my walk gradually brought me closer to Yonge Street, I noticed that nothing around me had really changed. The traffic was still moving steadily. The traffic lights continued their familiar rhythm of red, yellow, and green. Office workers hurried toward their next meeting. Tourists paused to take photographs, and cyclists carefully found their way through the busy streets. The city remained energetic, just as it had been when I first arrived. Yet something inside me had quietly changed. I was no longer simply observing traffic. I was reflecting on life itself. Zen wisdom often reminds us that peace does not depend on changing the world around us. Instead, peace begins when we gently change the way we look at the world. The streets did not become quieter, but my thoughts became calmer. The summer heat did not disappear, yet I found myself appreciating the warm sunlight rather than wishing for cooler weather. Sometimes the greatest transformation is invisible. It happens silently within the heart, where gratitude slowly replaces complaint and understanding gently takes the place of frustration. Those quiet changes are often the ones that last the longest. I also realized that driving is much like living. Every day presents new intersections where we must choose a direction. Sometimes the road ahead is clear, while other times construction, unexpected detours, or heavy traffic force us to adjust our plans. We cannot always predict what lies around the next corner, and perhaps that uncertainty is part of life's natural design. A wise driver does not become angry simply because a road is temporarily closed. Instead, they calmly look for another route and continue their journey. Life invites us to do the same. There will always be unexpected delays, disappointments, and moments that test our patience. If we meet each obstacle with resistance, we only increase our own suffering. If we meet it with flexibility and quiet acceptance, we discover that even detours can lead to meaningful experiences. Zen teaches us that water never argues with the rocks in its path. It simply flows around them and continues toward the sea. There is profound strength in that gentle persistence. We do not always need to force our way forward. Sometimes we simply need to continue with calm determination. Another lesson quietly appeared as I watched strangers crossing the streets together. Everyone was traveling toward a different destination, yet for a brief moment their paths crossed at the same intersection. Some exchanged a friendly smile. Others politely waited for someone to pass before continuing. These encounters lasted only a few seconds before everyone continued on their separate journeys. Our lives are often like that. We meet many people for only a short time. Yet even brief encounters can leave lasting impressions. A kind gesture, a patient response, or a warm smile may become a small light in another person's day, even if we never meet again. Zen reminds us that every moment offers an opportunity to practice compassion. We do not need extraordinary circumstances to make a positive difference. Everyday kindness is already extraordinary. Whether we're driving, walking, cycling, or riding public transit, we are constantly influencing the atmosphere around us. The energy we bring into the world quietly spreads to others. If we choose calmness, we encourage calmness. If we choose respect, we inspire respect. In this way, peace gently grows from one person to another. Before leaving downtown, I paused for one final look along Richmond Street. The afternoon sunlight reflected beautifully from the surrounding buildings, creating a golden glow that softened the busy city scene. For a brief moment, the constant movement of vehicles and pedestrians seemed almost like a flowing river. Every person was traveling somewhere, carrying hopes, responsibilities, dreams, and concerns that only they truly understood. Seeing the city this way filled me with quiet appreciation. We often believe that wisdom comes only through grand adventures or dramatic experiences. Yet many valuable lessons quietly appear during an ordinary afternoon walk. The streets become teachers. The traffic becomes a reminder of patience. The changing traffic lights remind us that every season has its own time. Red encourages us to pause. Green invites us to move forward. Yellow gently reminds us to prepare with awareness. Even these simple signals carry wisdom beyond driving. Perhaps life has been teaching us all along, and we only need to slow down enough to notice its gentle voice. As my peaceful walk came to an end, I carried home something far more valuable than photographs or memories of the busy streets. I carried a renewed appreciation for mindfulness, humility, and kindness. Whether we choose to drive through downtown Toronto, take public transit, ride a bicycle, or simply walk along the sidewalks, every journey becomes an opportunity to cultivate a peaceful heart. The destination is important, but the manner in which we travel is even more meaningful. If we move through life with patience instead of haste, gratitude instead of complaint, and compassion instead of anger, every road becomes a teacher. Zen wisdom does not ask us to escape the busy world. Instead, it gently invites us to remain peaceful while living fully within it. Perhaps the true purpose of every journey is not simply to arrive somewhere else, but to become a little wiser, a little kinder, and a little more grateful along the way. Thank you for joining me on this summer afternoon walk through downtown Toronto. Until our next walk together, may your roads be safe, your heart remain calm, and your every step be guided by peace, wisdom, and quiet joy.